postmodern art challenges traditional narratives, embraces pastiche, and celebrates the deconstruction of cultural norms. It thrives on questioning established ideas of meaning and authenticity, and it blurs the boundaries between what we consider high art and low art. The provocative rapper CupcakKe embodies this ethos through both her songs and the remixes that are made of her songs. These remixes take familiar songs and transform them into audacious, subversive reinterpretations that fit squarely into postmodern tradition. By combining parody, intertextuality, and a full-out rejection of societal norms, CupcakKe's remixes become a form of postmodern art that redefines cultural expectations and reshapes the meaning of music in our digital age. So in this video, I'm going to go through some of the conventions of postmodernity and how they align with the works of CupcakKe and CupcakKe remixes. The overarching themes of postmodernity. To understand why CupcakKe remixes qualify as postmodern art, it's important to first define the term. Postmodernism is characterized by skepticism towards meta-narratives and traditional hierarchies, often using irony, humour, and pastiche to interrogate social constructs. It's less about creating something entirely new and more about reinterpreting, recontextualizing, and remixing existing materials. In music, postmodernism often manifests through sampling, remixing, and parody, techniques that CupcakKe employs masterfully. Remixes of her songs also take familiar cultural artifacts, such as mainstream pop songs, and twist them into playful reimaginings, breaking down notions of artistic ownership and the rigidity of genre conventions. Pastiche and intertextuality in CupcakKe's remixes. One of the hallmarks of postmodern art is pastiche, the blending of various styles, genres, and references, without concern for originality in the traditional sense. CupcakKe remixes excel in this regard as they rely on intertextuality and the dialogue between her lyrics and the original songs being remixed. But CupcakKe's own discography does this too. For instance, her parody of Lil Nas X's Old Town Road, Old Town Ho, takes a familiar cultural product and subverts its meaning. While the original plays with Western tropes and rural identity, CupcakKe's version transforms it into a sexually liberated anthem, simultaneously critiquing and celebrating the original's light-hearted absurdity. By doing so, she blurs the line between parody and homage, adding layers of meaning to the original. The power of shock and humour. CupcakKe remixes are quintessentially postmodern in their rejection of societal norms and conventions, particularly around sexuality and gender. They use shock value, not merely to be provocative, but as a tool for cultural critique. Her explicit, often hyperbolic lyrics push boundaries in a way that forces listeners to confront their own discomfort with taboo subjects, such as sexuality. For example, in many remixes, her unfiltered sexual content contrasts sharply with the tone of the original piece, creating a jarring but often hilarious juxtaposition. My favourite examples of this are classical music CupcakKe remixes. This juxtaposition destabilises the listener's expectations and critiques cultural hypocrisy around the depiction of sexuality in mainstream music. The humour in CupcakKe remixes is another postmodern hallmark. Humour in postmodern art often serves to destabilise seriousness, undermining traditional hierarchies of appropriate and inappropriate content. CupcakKe's comedic lyrics challenge the expectation that music, particularly rap, must adhere to rigid themes of seriousness or authenticity to be considered valuable. By embracing absurdity, she turns music into a playground of ideas where nothing is off limits and everything is subject to reinvention. Deconstruction of mainstream pop. Postmodernism thrives on deconstructing dominant narratives, and CupcakKe's remixes achieve this by unravelling the carefully constructed images of mainstream pop and rap artists. In her reinterpretations, she dismantles the polish and professionalism of major label hits, replacing them with raw, explicit, and exaggerated perspectives that expose the artificialness of the originals. Take the remix of WAP by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. While the original was already groundbreaking in its sexual frankness, the CupcakKe remix somehow manages to make it even more explicit, parodying the notion that there's a limit to how far music can push boundaries. By doing so, she draws attention to the societal discomfort with the overt female sexual expression and critiques the double standards that govern women in entertainment. Her remixes also challenge the commodification of mainstream music. By appropriating well-known tracks and infusing them with her personality, CupcakKe asserts creative ownership over cultural artifacts that were designed for mass consumption. In doing so, she democratizes pop culture, proving that independent artists can reinterpret and redefine mainstream art on their own terms. Remix culture and digital postmodernism. CupcakKe's remixes are products of remix culture, a distinctly postmodern phenomenon amplified by the internet. In remix culture, creators repurpose existing materials to produce something new, often in ways that critique or comment on the original. CupcakKe's success in this space highlights the democratizing potential of digital platforms, where independent artists can challenge the dominance of major labels and reach audiences directly. Her remixes thrive on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, where virality is often driven by humor, relatability, and shock value. The participatory nature of these platforms aligns perfectly with postmodern values, as they encourage audience interaction and reinterpretation. Fans frequently use CupcakKe's remixes in memes, challenges, and reaction videos, creating an ever-evolving dialogue around her work. This recursive process of creation and recreation mirrors the endless layers of interpretation central to postmodern art. CupcakKe as a postmodern artist. CupcakKe herself embodies postmodernism through her persona and approach to music. She defies conventional labels. She's a rapper, comedian, social commentator, and provocateur all at once. Her remixes collapse traditional distinctions between high and low art, mixing the crudeness of explicit comedy with the sophistication of her sharp lyricism. Moreover, her refusal to conform to industry expectations, such as remaining an independent artist and addressing taboo subjects, make her a quintessentially postmodern figure. CupcakKe exists outside traditional hierarchies, embracing multiplicity and contradiction in a way that challenges the status quo. Cultural impact and legacy. The postmodern nature of CupcakKe remixes has far-reaching cultural implications. They invite audiences to question the authenticity and meaning of mainstream music, while celebrating the freedom to reinterpret and reshape art. Her work also reflects broader cultural shifts towards inclusivity, self-expression, and the breaking down of societal taboos. By challenging norms and encouraging playful engagement with pop culture, CupcakKe remixes pave the way for other artists to experiment with reinterpretation and subversion. Her legacy lies not only in her humour and shock value, but in her ability to redefine what art can be in a world increasingly shaped by remix culture and digital connectivity. CupcakKe remixes exemplify postmodern art by deconstructing cultural norms, embracing pastiche and humour, and challenging the authenticity of mainstream music. They represent a playful yet profound critique of societal norms around art, sexuality, and identity. In an ever-evolving digital world, CupcakKe's music demonstrates that art can be irreverent, shocking, and meaningful all at once. Through these remixes, CupcakKe doesn't just entertain. She redefines how we experience and interpret music in the postmodern era. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm feeling quite proud of myself with that, actually, because it's been a long time since I studied postmodernity during my media studies A-level. So I'm quite impressed that I retained as much information that I did, and I hope my media teacher is also proud of me for remembering it as well. It was very entertaining. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed, and let me know in the comments, what do you want to hear me do a video essay about next?